The controversy surrounding reports of a Christian genocide in Nigeria has taken a new dimension. Well, on Monday, the United States House of Representatives Subcommittee on Africa scheduled a hearing for November 20th to investigate the killing of Christians in Nigeria. The congressional hearing, chaired by Representative Chris Smith, is set to feature two panels of witnesses, including senior U.S. State Department officials and Nigerian religious leaders, to review the scope of the reports and weigh potential policy responses, such as targeted sanctions. The U.S. congressional hearing is a significant diplomatic development that could have serious implications for Nigeria-U.S. relations and foreign aid. Meanwhile, superstar Nicki Minaji is set to speak on Tuesday at the United Nations on the persecution of Christians in Nigeria. The development also follows Pope Leo XIV voicing concerns over religious persecution targeting Christians. On Friday, Christian leaders rallied on the steps of the U.S. Capitol, thanking Trump for giving a voice to Christian persecution in Nigeria. Well, in the same vein, a new video trending on social media shows an excerpt from a sermon by the Catholic Bishop of Nsukka, Bishop Godfrey Honor, speaking about how the suffering of Christians in Nigeria is comparable to the crucifixion of Christ and how Christian schools in Nigeria have been sabotaged by the federal government. Let's take a look.
Since after the takeover of schools, who has the correct statistics of the number of churches that have been burnt down in this country? Who knows how many Christians have been killed in this country because they are Christians? Some right inside the church. Some will tell you these are criminals. They are not just targeting Christians. Take it easy. How many of those who perpetrate these crimes have been arrested and prosecuted? How many of them are in jail? How many of them have faced the death penalty? The Catholic Church is against the death penalty. I'm talking about Nigerian law. And some Christians are being provoked legitimately to react. Anytime any of them reacts, they are said to be taking the laws into their hands. But all those who trample the law with their feet, trample upon the law. They kill, they rape, they maim, they sack farmers, they harvest crops of farmers and feed it to their cattle. And when you say no, why are you doing this? It is death. And when they do that, they record it and post it to government to see. If you ask them question, you are killed. If you chase them away and while running away they die, you'll be condemned to death.
All right, this was quite the message from the bishop. I mean, talking about even the schools that have been sabotaged. Meanwhile, in Kebbi State, the state governor, Mohammed Nasir Idris, has expressed strong outrage over the attack and kidnapping of 25 female students as the government girls' comprehensive school, MAGA, accusing unnamed security agencies of sabotaging efforts by failing to act on credible intelligence from the Department of State Services. The governor stated that the DSS had advised the state to convene a Security Council meeting and provide round-the-clock protection, a decision that was made but apparently not enforced. He lamented that heavily armed security men who had been deployed to the school spent time taking pictures with the students and conducting drills, but then abandoned their post just 30 minutes before the attackers struck. Well, the Department of State Services has recorded back-to-back victories, recapturing escaped terrorist mastermind Abdulaziz Obadaki and now being suspected major arms supplier Musa Abubakar in separate operations. Obadaki, a top Ansaru terrorist commander who orchestrated the devastating August 7, 2010 mass shooting at a Deeper Life Bible Church near Okene, Kogi State, where 19 worshippers, including the pastor, were killed, had been on the run since escaping during the July 2022 Kuje Custodial Center jailbreak. The suspected terrorist, who also masterminded the February 2022 daylight bank robberies in Uromi, Edo State, had left several policemen and bank customers dead, with hundreds of millions of naira carted away, confessed to orchestrating the Kuje jailbreak itself after being transferred from Kaba Custodial Center in June 2022. After over 3 years of evading capture, DSS operatives finally recaptured the terrorist on Friday, November 14th. Meanwhile, the arrest comes barely 2 months after the secret police arraigned 5 suspects linked to the 2022 Owo Catholic Church massacre in Ondo State. Just days later, on November 12, 2025, DSS operatives struck again, arresting Musa Abubakar, a key arms dealer whose manufacturing workshop in Plateau State supplied high-caliber weapons and ammunition to armed groups terrorizing Plateau and neighboring northern states. Abubakar was caught red-handed with improvised explosive device components, chemicals, and manufacturing equipment following extensive surveillance and credible intelligence, a breakthrough that came 3 months after the DSS arraigned 9 high-profile suspects involved in the Plateau and Benue attacks, including Tima Majol, who has already pleaded guilty to illegal firearm possessions. I mean, Rufai, these are just real credible and commendable back-to-back victories. Well, while these victories are commendable, the question now is whether the momentum can be sustained and whether Nigeria's judicial system will match the DSS efficiency by ensuring swift prosecution and conviction of these arrested suspects. Meanwhile, in the same vein, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu gave a fiery speech directed at judicial officers nationwide at the 2025 All-Nigerian Judges Conference on Monday. In his address, the president declared that a compromised judiciary poses an existential threat to democracy, insisting that justice must never be for sale. Tinubu also warned judges not to succumb to corruption, stating that corruption anywhere in government is damaging, but corruption in the judiciary destroys it to the core. Let's take a look.
Let us be clear. No amount of reform can succeed if integrity is compromised. Justice must never be for sale. The bench must never become a sanctuary for compromise. Corruption in any form or any arm of government weakens the nation, but corruption in judiciary destroys it to the core. When justice is compromised, government loses its integrity and democracy loses its foundation.
President Tinubu's call for moral integrity in the judiciary sounds admirable in theory, Rufai. But the question remains, will judges who deliver questionable judgments face the consequences? Will judicial appointments prioritize integrity over political loyalty? And will the executive branch respect judicial independence even when court rulings go against government interests? So until we see, systemic or systematic reforms that address judicial corruption in Nigeria at its roots, the president's well-intentioned statement may very well be another unfulfilled promise, Rufai.
It's just rhetoric. Just rhetoric. If the president is ready, there are people that have proposals of judicial reform today that if it takes, in the next couple of years, the problem will be solved. It's just rhetoric. It's just talk at a judicial conference. I don't see. A couple of years back from this time, mark today, and we'll keep talking about it. It's the same politicians that corrupted the judicial system. Let's call it spade a spade. So if they are talking now, like it doesn't favor them, it's just rhetoric. Secondly, as regards the point of Nicki Minaj, because I see there's an attempt to be able to mitigate Nicki Minaj and say, oh, she has no right to be able to sound off on Christian genocide and all of that. The truth is, the facts are there. We'll hear what Nicki Minaj has to say. But the facts of these killings are there. I've also seen people make the argument, others have been killed. Yeah, nobody has denied that Muslims have been killed. In fact, they've been killed en masse, genocidal proportions. But there's Christian genocide, and the earlier we accept this, and government trying to go and twist narrative will not work. Because it's there. The bishop was talking about burning of churches. In researching this matter, I don't talk without fact. Oh, did you know that there's something called cultural genocide? You don't even need to kill people. But the fact that you are burning religious places, trying to exterminate languages and all of that, is part of cultural genocide. So for those that are arguing, oh, there's no Christian genocide, the burning of a lot of churches, is that not part of cultural genocide? So I'm asking the question. See, we all want the problem to be solved. And like I've always said, it's not a contest to pit Muslims against Christians and all of that. No. Because both Muslims, both Christians, they are all victims. How can we solve the problem? But the first part, and I don't like what this government has done, is that you not accepting you have a problem in itself is a problem. The attempt to go use government officials to do all sorts of propaganda is not the way forward. Mitigating the plights of people is not the way forward because we want to look good on the international scene. Let us accept there's a problem and how can we solve it? Look at the KB girls. There's a talk again of complicity. You remember Professor Bolaji Akeyemi told the story of how when they wanted to come rescue the Chibok girls, they got here, they said they wanted to gas the terrorists. The next day they saw the terrorists were wearing masks. So the investigation should be, let's ask, the security officials that were supposed to be there and safeguard the students, where are they? Dr. Abati, a lot of people were mocking Mrs. Jonathan when she was asking, Principal, where were you when they took them? There is God, though. But years ahead now, we are seeing that in the case of Chibok, there's an element of also complicity. Because people shake their responsibility. Then, oh, Jonathan was the problem. We are all mocking Mrs. Jonathan when we said, there is God, oh, there is God, oh. But what that woman was crying about was that there's a level of complicity. So who are those complicits? And how can we get the problem solved? That's just it once and for all. And may God help us. Because this is 15 years counting. A child they gave birth to when all of this started is already getting ready for university or already in university. When is all of this going to stop?
Can I just say the failing of the legislature is very loud, especially with the news you spoke about the U.S. Congress. This is what the Nigerian Senate ought to be leading. Calling for people to come forward. Their silence is actually really loud. Aside from the Senate President, Senator Akpabio, saying over the weekend that the president's handling it, what has the Senate done? Look at their counterparts in the U.S. Should the U.S. be leading on this? Nigeria should take ownership of this.
We have religious leaders, like I said, on the U.S. Capitol.
They are asking them to come forward. They're even opening an inquiry and asking them to come forward. Why has the Nigerian Senate not opened an inquiry to at least even listen to the agitations of the people? And then if you're talking about Nicki Minaj, where are the Nigerian celebrities? They are keeping quiet as well.
I really like Dr. Abati's comment earlier about Nicki Minaj. The fact that she has such a huge platform and she's able to speak, we should also have other people to speak about what they really believe in. Nicki Minaj should not be persecuted because she's speaking for what she really believes in. So that really is what it is. But I mean, this US policy, you said Tiwa Savage. All the Tiwa Savages, all the Burna Boys, all of this is the time to speak as well, because we're seeing
fashion shows. There's nothing wrong with this.
At a very
platform too.
We are. I like meeting Nicki Minaj. All right. But we're at a very, very critical time in our lives right now in Nigeria with these conversations about Christian genocide and the U.S. sanctions and the sanctions that may come, that might follow this whole conversation. But the Nigerian government, we need to continue to speak up and collaborate with these conversations.